The Great Bank Robbery by Sarah Kling. Perhaps the city of Augusta is located too far east to be part of the Wild West, but even if this is so, our fair city still has a bit of Old West cantankery in its past. Maybe it wasn't masterminded by Jesse James or Billy the Kid, but there was an actual bank robbery in our town. And even if the thieves didn't escape on horses waving six-shooters, they did escape with loot, and a fair amount of it, too. So from the slightly inadequate files of the now defunct Augusta Union, I bring you the saga of the Great Augusta Bank Robbery. The air was moist and balmy that fateful night way back in 1921 as Officer Emil Trailer walked his usual beat. Perhaps he commented to himself on the warmth of that Thursday in May. Whatever the case, Emil failed to notice anything peculiar about the bank building as he walked past it. Now, one could write this off as perhaps the mistake of a rookie, but when Police Chief Wilson also checked the outer perimeter of the building at 11:15 p.m., he noticed nothing wrong either. And there was something to notice at that time. Inside the bank building, a group of men were cutting into the vault from the floor above. They were burning into the floor with an acetylene torch. A pick was used to help push through the ceiling of the vault. Of the men in the gang, Gus Watts, Gus Saunders, and James Russell climbed down carefully into the vault on a rope ladder once an entrance had been cut. The other men in the gang served as lookouts and assistants. One man assisted directly over the open hole, 2 served as front lookouts, 1 as a rear lookout, and 2 went to man the getaway cars. Gus, and James went to work immediately. Using a flashlight, they surveyed their surroundings and found that instead of cutting into the main safe, they had instead cut into the outer vault containing important documents and safety deposit boxes. But they were undaunted. They soon rigged nitroglycerin charges to the main safe, and in a series of explosions managed to accomplish blowing off the handles of the safe, if nothing more. The second explosion also started a fire in the vault among the documents. In half desperation, our 3 thieves ransacked the safety deposit boxes, and finding valuable jewelry and other items worth a tidy sum, proceeded to make their getaway. Unfortunately, they were too hasty. They left all their tools behind, and even left the rope ladder hanging from the floor above. They exited through the Masonic dining hall in the back to where the cars were waiting. The events in this drama now become a little bit hazy. It is known that in an act of intelligence, the robbers short-circuited all the telephone and telegraph wires by tying a piece of copper wire around them, except for the ones to Osseo. They then sped out of town towards Eau Claire in a green sedan and a black sedan. These cars were sighted by several citizens, but the time of this getaway is not definite. The robbery was discovered the next morning by the president of the bank. It seems he walked in to open up and smelled and observed smoke coming from the direction of the vault. Further investigation on his part revealed the fact that the vault had been broken into. The alarm was immediately sounded, but of course the robbers were long gone. Now the story becomes very misty. due to a lack of correspondence or ambition, or maybe even knowledge of the Union newspaper. The reports are as follows. 4 members of the gang were apprehended in Minneapolis and extricated to Eau Claire County Jail. 3 of these men were the actual robbers: Gus Saunders, alias Stan Russell, Gus Watts, and James Russell. Another 2 were apprehended, God knows where, and also sent to Eau Claire. These 2 were Rudy and Otto Foster. On July 1st, several days, I think, after being sent to Eau Claire, Saunders pulled a gun on the guards and escaped along with James and Gus Watts. Rudy and Otto made no attempts to escape. Somehow, during the mirage of events, Saunders managed to stab the Eau Claire police chief, Elmer Sundby, and pin the crime on poor Kelvin Lester. Kelvin was quite upset at this fact and promptly gave information on Gus Saunders' whereabouts so he could be apprehended for his crimes. Saunders was captured at a hotel in Chicago. One has to wonder about his luck, as his parting quote was to be said as he was being dragged away by a police officer. "Put and rap against me, but please don't take me back to Eau Claire County." It truly grieves me that there is so little information about a real bank robbery in Augusta, Wisconsin. But the only information source available was the old and very vague issues of the Augusta Union. I believe that it is more fun to speculate as to what happened in all the gaps that details are not available for. Still, many people may wonder now and in years to come what really happened to all the members of the gang and actually how much money they stole. But until the full story is ever discovered, the Great Augusta Bank Robbery will retain an almost fairy tale-like quality.